Mr. President, thank you. It's very good to see you again.
Again, yes. Let's tell the audience that we did it very well at Sun Valley, no?
That's right. We first met at Sun Valley, and it's a different time. You've won elections now, and we'll talk about that.
A different subject, because that moment we talk about sex, rock and roll, and sports, no?
Yes.
We will not talk about that today, no?
I think we'll, as they say in Las Vegas, what happens in Sun Valley will leave in Sun Valley.
Okay.
I do want to talk about, first of all, one of the reasons you're here and express our nation's grief to you and your countrymen and women on the loss of Argentinians here at the hands of a terrorist attack in New York City. So you go with our great grief and sympathy back to Argentina. So we thank you for coming here and showing your affection and love for them, as well as your respect for our country.
Absolutely. I wanted to be, if I was planning to come, when that tragedy happened, I was willing more and more to be present here, because we have to show one single attitude and one strong message against terrorism. No? They want us to panic. They want us to freeze at home, to stop our lives. And we have to show them that we love in the way that we are developing the world. We know that there are many things to be solved, that still there's too much poverty around, and we need to work together to solve all these type of problems, but the way is through peace. No?
Yes.
The way is working together. No, what the terrorism proposes is there's no future there. So that's why I came, and I thank every New Yorker that had expressed all his pain, and because at the end 5 families were destroyed, 15 kids were left without fathers, and these type of things had to be stopped as soon as possible.
And clearly it's an issue of security, and it's also an issue of understanding what the root causes are of terrorism, and every nation's responsibility to try to combat that in every possible way it can. But I assume you have other reasons to come here. We're always looking for investment in Argentina. A chance to, coming to New York is always a good thing to do for those of us who are New Yorkers. It's been 2 years since you've been in office. You've had recent success in the election, but give me an assessment of what you have wanted to do and what you've been able to do along the lines that we talked about and some of the issues that Bill raised in his introduction.
Well, since we met last, there was a doubt inside Argentina and around the world that if it was real, this will for change in the Argentine community. And let me tell you that I'm very proud about my citizens. I really feel that the level of maturation of the community, the level of understanding of the real problems that create living so many years in a populist regime had been understood. So what happened in this midterm election expresses with real clarity that we are ready. We are ready to assume the effort that Argentina needs to reassume the importance of the culture of work, no? and to have a society in which those ones that give the best effort, that are really engaged with the community, that they fulfill the law, are going to be the winners, and not anymore the professional cheaters, that, like it happened for more than half a century in Argentina. So what they had expressed is, even though it had been hard, because as I was telling a group of businessmen at breakfast, populism is like going to a party in which you get as much alcohol as you can, and it's a lot of fun, but next morning your head explodes, no? Well, that's populism. when it finishes, it leaves the society bankrupt, without net worth, without infrastructure, and you have to start nearly from the beginning. But the citizens are ready. The citizens are ready, and they had assumed that we need all to put our best effort, and starting from some elemental thing, basic thing, that is paying the utility tariffs, because all utilities were giving out services for free. So we were going to blackouts, and we were going out of all the infrastructure.
Why is that the reason, in a sense, that Peronism has been so successful all these years in Argentina? Because by risking national bankruptcy, they were willing to give away things to the people?
Well, first,
or was it more than that? Was it cultural? Was it deeper?
Well, first, let me tell you that, thanks God, many Peronists have come with me today to New York. No?
Yes.
We are all working together in this new era. So that limits my critics to the Peronist history.
It's a question I've asked you before.
Yes.
but in fact, that was one of the cardinal things that you said when you...
Yes, but you will find, if you analyze Argentine history, because this Peronist phenomenon is quite unique, that there were different Perons. And I think that we are expressing what the last Peron wanted to do, and his illness didn't give him time enough to take ahead. No? So I think that now we are all understanding that we need to be part of the world. Isolationism only inherited poverty. We need to be part of the solution of the global problems, and not to add more problems. And inside Argentina, we need to work to be reliable, predictable, to have rule of law, and that will allow sustainable development driven by investments, private investments. No? So we are all working on that. In the past, well, they go back and forward many times during the Peronist cycles. But now I think, well, they will have the chance to restart the party again with this clear and different idea that is shared by 90% of the world. No?
So you're creating new parties and reforming old parties?
No, they have to reform their party. No. I have a lot of work to keep the coalition working okay. No? That's work enough. No, I don't want to take extra jobs. No. I leave that job for the governor of Córdoba, his Peronist, Bordet, his Peronist from Entre Rios, and many other members of the Congress of the Peronist Party that are together with me today.
You travel with all Argentinians from every political
No,
persuasion.
because we want to show that we are sharing this view, because still, even we have such a success in this midterm election, we don't have the majority of neither of the two chambers. So we need to continue negotiating, agreeing in these new laws and the new commitments to tackle fiscal deficit, to tackle inflation, because these are the two key elements to stable the Argentine economy.
Will this election mandate give you an impetus to continue economic reforms and even add to economic reforms as well as
absolutely
as well as changing institutions in Argentina?
Absolutely. I had called to achieve basic consensus. This Thursday, when I arrive to Buenos Aires, we will have a first meeting together with all the governors. When I call them, I call the key leaders of the society, members of the justice, unions, governors, Congress, business community, and I told everybody, well, this is the moment, it's now or never. We have to achieve a gradual reduce of the fiscal deficit. We have to arrive to
a gradual reducing.
Gradual, yes, 1% per year.
Right.
And we have to achieve a single-digit inflation for 2019, and we have to be all committed. And fortunately, everybody is agreeing and everybody has understand that that's the only way. We have to improve the justice system, more independent. We have to be all committed to kill corruption in Argentina forever. We have technology. We can digitalize all the paper stuff in the governments. We have to have open governments, public access to information, and we're in that process, and everybody is working in doing their homework.
Where is the resistance coming from?
Well, there's still a group of citizens and leaders that try to convince the rest of Argentina to go back to the last 12 years, no? But today they express a minority, let's say 20%, 25% of Argentina. And I expect that every moment that we keep showing results, we will convince more and more Argentines to be part of this new political stage.
What role do you want Argentina to play in the region, in foreign policy, and in the world?
Well, in the world, first we have to show that we can get rid of populism as we are doing it. I think that that's a lot for the world that is going into populism in many places. Second, I think that we have to give more dynamic to Mercosur and joining Pacific Alliance as soon as possible. Mercosur bloc has been the most isolated bloc, with higher tariffs, higher protections, and the result was a disaster, poverty in both countries. So I think that now we are both convinced that we need to open our economies in an intelligent way, because you can't go from one side to the other. The pendulum is always dangerous. But we are working hard to find an agreement, a first agreement with the European Union, with Japan, with EFTA, and with the Pacific Alliance. So I think that things are going to fasten, and we are all entering, and I'm very optimistic about the process that had gone through our neighbors of Brazil, our partners of Brazil. So I think that good moments are coming for the region.
Do you have targets for reducing protectionism?
Yes. Inside Mercosur, we had to build that together, no? Because we are part of the same bloc, no? But we are working to reduce tariffs, and I think that will start in these specific agreements, no? With European Union. That for European Union, it's also a great opportunity, because after Brexit, they need to create more relations, no? And more weight in their commerce. So I think that this exchange will be in both benefits.
When you look at political direction in Latin America, you've got trouble in Venezuela.
Venezuela started being a preoccupation. Now it's a pain for all of us. No? I started talking about Venezuela when I was mayor of the city. And not the whole world, but the majority of the world say, no, Chavez is a democracy. And I say, that's not a democracy. Now things have gone worse and worse, no? And I'm really scary about what is going on there, because we don't see which is the way out. Which is the way out? The people are leaving Venezuela. They think that's part of their plan, to push away the leaders that are still there trying to recover democracy. And I think that we have to keep working together to find a way to reestablish democracy in Venezuela. That really affects the region, but especially Colombia, Ecuador, Brazil, no? That are really affected.
How do you see the not emerging, but even today, in today's New York Times, Xi Jinping talks about seeing China along with the United States as the two great powers in the world. How do you see the Xi Jinping consolidating power in the 19th Congress in Beijing and the role it's going to play in the world? How does Argentina respond? Because China is an important trading partner of yours.
China has been very aggressive in the region. they had even invest and finance in the previous government. That was the unique. That shows the level of aggressivity, because lending money to the Kirchner government was really
What?
required a great courage, no? A great courage.
Meaning they didn't expect to get paid back?
Well, that is what is going to happen in Venezuela. They did the same in Venezuela. Now I don't know if they're going to get the payback of $50 billion. So, but I feel that it's a great opportunity for our region, a great opportunity for Argentina. I think that we combine very well our capabilities. No, they are great builders of infrastructure. Argentina needs to build huge infrastructure because we have a big country and with the lack of highways, ports, airports, energy.
So how does that work with China? They come in and...
Well, with the previous government, they signed up very important direct contracts. Now they are participating in tender processes. I talked with the President Xi. I said, we believe that the best way to increase cooperation is that you should come and take part in the future tenders. That will clarify prices and relations. And they are taking part, and they have been very successful. We have just finished a renewable tender, 3 renewable tenders. In the last one, we received $11 billion of offers, 2/3 solar energy, 1/3 wind energy, and mainly are Chinese contractors who had wind and who are participating in the last one. So they have very good technology, they have finance and
Are they employing
proposals.
Chinese workers or
No,
Argentine workers?
Argentine workers. They accept to come and work and teach our people. No. We are trying to create jobs. My main commitment with my citizens is reduce poverty. For that, I need to create jobs. So I'm trying to create jobs for Argentinians.
I want to talk about that too before we go to your relationship with the United States. When you talked to me previously and in everything you have said, your primary responsibility is to decrease poverty.
Absolutely.
How are you doing on that front?
Well, we did some progress. We went from 33 to 28% in the last 2 semesters, but it's a long way to go, no? It's just the beginning. And we also need to improve the quality of the public education. We are in a deep battle with the unions. It's difficult to understand, but they don't accept not even the evaluation of the teachers and the students. And we'd say that you need to know what are the mistakes that you are making, not doing, so you can correct them. If you don't have good information, it's impossible to improve the system. But again, the citizens agree with this, so we are going to do it, even though the unions will be trying to stop us. And in the other sense, we are trying to get rid of stupid and useless regulations that had discouraged investment during many years, to encourage private investments, because that's the way to create jobs. No? And the growth of Argentina we are having today is really directed and driven by investments, not by consuming, and that's a healthy growth. No? And let me tell you that we had achieved, after more than 100 years, to reduce expenses, reduce the fiscal deficit, reduce inflation, reduce taxes, and grow. That is going on for the first time in more than 100 years, and that is going to occur again next year. That shows why Argentina is in the right momentum.
To your north is not Mexico. It certainly is Mexico, but it's also the United States. You had a good relationship with President Obama.
Yes,
you did.
Very good. We played golf together a couple of weeks ago.
How's he as a golfer?
Quite good, eh?
Is he getting better?
I was impressed. Yeah,
you were?
He's fully dedicated. So. Now he has time. No?
He's got plenty of time to practice.
But still, it was very confusing because we were playing against my brother and a friend of mine, and I said, "What is your handicap?" But today is 14. He was very clear with the handicap, but it was enough. We won a couple of dollars each, so he was very happy. He went back home with some money more, extra money.
There was an article in Golf Digest, I think, which said that President Trump was probably the best golfer to ever occupy the White House.
Well, let me tell you, that the last time I played with Donald, I was 24.
Yeah.
I don't want to say how many years ago. And he was a tough player, very tough. It was a very good 9 handicap. In those days, I was like 4 of handicap. But and he told me that he keeps playing, so I'm waiting.
I think every week.
Next year, when he comes for the G20, I will try to find a moment to play against. We have a very beautiful golf course there, yes. Many. Well, remember that the English build the trains in Argentina, and in each station, they build the golf course. So the city of Buenos Aires is surrounded by dozens of golf courses.
Oh, yeah. Scottish golf courses.
Scottish, yes, no, not so many. Lots of trees. Scottish are without trees.
That's right. What's the relationship with the United States today with the Trump administration?
Very good. Very good.
What are the challenges to it? What do you hope to accomplish?
Trying to increase commerce is the first challenge. So far, we didn't do much progress, but we are working. We are working. Secretary Rose is in charge and is trying to help. We are starting to export lemons in the future season. We need to solve the beef problem, the biodiesel problem, and many other things. But there is a very good attitude from the government authorities to have a deeper and more actual relation between the countries. So we are working very well, and we are working also very well in something that is as important as the commerce, that's defeating drug trafficking. No?
Yes.
For us, it's another priority, and we have done a lot of work. For the first time in many years, we have done a operativo together with the DEA. So we are very happy on that, because fighting against drug trafficking is also related with terrorism. They're all part of the organized crime, no? So we have to work all together in that, and it has been very important to reestablish relations with the United States government in that sense.
Latin America has often felt like that America's attention was in Europe or in Asia. Do you believe that?
Well, obviously, the future of the world is related with what relation we will achieve between the States, China, and Europe. No, we are all waiting and watching what is going on.
So my question is, what's your message then to President Trump to say to him, America has a vital interest in Argentina and in Brazil and in Peru and in Mexico and throughout the region, in Cuba, Venezuela, Colombia. What do you say to the president? What do you say to him so that there is increased focus, as George W. Bush intended to, but was sidetracked, wanted to make Mexico and Latin America a priority, and he will acknowledge that he was not able to devote as much attention, and Latin Americans have forever remind us that they're there, and that the hemisphere is.
We are there, and we are very proud of being there.
The Western Hemisphere is a very important economic bloc.
In the past, being far from the center was a problem. Now it's like a good thing, no?
What does that mean?
What we feel is that when you go to energy supply, especially renewables, when you go to food security, when you look for young, talented people, it's very difficult to find a better region than South America. So I think that this is our moment, and I think that it should not be very intelligent if the United States, that has been the first partner of South America from so many years, leave that place to China or to Japan or to any other region. No? It's the moment in which you have to be present and be there and invest to develop the region and really establish that the whole continent is a stable and futurable place to live. No?
What's the most important question that investors in Argentina, looking at the history before you were there and looking at what hope they may have because you're there, what's the most important question they want answered in order to commit their own?
If all these reforms are going to last.
Exactly. And how do you answer that?
I answer that saying that this time I'm the president because the citizens were looking for a change, not because I convinced them of the change. I feel that they understood. They have learned about our mistakes. They have learned that being potentially a very rich country is not enough. You have to develop those resources. And for developing those resources, you have to have rule of law. You have to have clear rules. You have to trying to stop cheating, stop corruption. No? Protectionism. And you have to be part. That comes thanks to the new generation, that they don't can even think of not being part of the world, because they are all in internet through the whole day, so they live in the world.
They live in a global world.
They live in the global world. That's a fact, no? So what I feel is that I'm representing what they want, no? And I think that everybody's understanding that. That's why the leaders of the opposition that are coming here to New York in this trip with me, or came into Europe in other trips.
Are you saying to them, I should ask them, but are you saying to them, let's try something different? Give this a chance.
Absolutely.
Perhaps we can work together.
And we are working together. In the past, those the history was that the one that won the election never called the others.
Right.
No? The day after we won the election, we call all of them and say, let's sit down and find this basic consensus.
And did you do that simply because you knew the other way would fail, that unless you took it in a new direction,
yes,
you
absolutely.
would end up?
I feel that we have to answer that question. And I cannot answer that question by myself. I need
and you
to
can't
show
answer it tomorrow either.
No, because that could last 2 years more and maybe 6, but not forever. So to everybody be sure that this is forever, they have to be present and they have to accept what we are doing. And unfortunately, we need them because we don't have the majority at the Congress. So it's the only way. The only way, and the good thing, the good news is that it's working. It's working very well.
What's happened in the case of Alberto Nisman?
We don't know yet, but we are working hard to know what happened. We need to know what happened. That's part of clarifying our future.
To show that
he was killed. Who killed it? Who did it?
He was killed, and therefore, rather than committing suicide,
who did it.
You need to know who did it.
Yes, we need who did it.
You're confident you can find that?
We are working. We're backing the justice to have all the resources they need to go ahead with the investigation. We need the truth in every sense in Argentina. I promise my people to tell always the truth. I lived my whole life saying the truth. Lots of problems I have to face thanks to that, but more advantages I found that you have when you tell the truth. And it's quite what happens here, no? I always admire from Americans that white is white, black is black. Being son of Italian, that, well, quindi, vediamo, può essere grey, that doesn't work. I don't like that, even though you have more fun in Italy than maybe here, but we need to create a future and we need jobs for many people, so we need to clarify things.
Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure for me to see you again. I know this audience. is anxious to know more about where you're taking your country. Well, thank you for taking this time.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
It's time to have a good beef, no? We are going to have beef or beef? Okay. Well, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to see you.